Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss about what is sports law, what are the authorities governing sports law in India, and further we'll be discussing about the types of contracts and issues that are being faced by the sports person in India. So let's get started with what is sports law. Sports law relates to any of the sporting activities that are happening in the country. It also deals with the legal issues pertaining to the acts and issues of sports players, teams, managers, and associates. Sports law further includes the traditional area of laws like the contract law, tort law, trademark law, and various other laws. So, today in this presentation, we will be covering each and everything about sports law. So, let's move further. We'll be discussing what are the issues in the field of sports law. Now, here comes the 10 issues that we are going to discuss in this presentation. First issue is the pertaining to the contracts between the sports players and the other various parties. Second are the doping policies. Third, the harassment in sports. Fourth, sport injuries regarding the liability, like whom will be responsible for the injuries and what kind of compensation will be paid. Fifth, the tort law, which covers a very important aspect. Sixth, the broadcasting rights. Seventh, conflict of interest regarding the endorsement by players. Endorsements and advertising of sports. Ninth, the intellectual property rights. Tenth is the player rights. So we'll be discussing all these 10 points in this presentation. Let's first start with what law governs sports and athletic activities in India. So let's talking about law. We'll start with the Constitution of India, which specifically states that the sports fall under the jurisdiction of the state governments, which is to be aptly said is under entry 33 state list in Schedule 7. For the National Sports Policy 2001, which was formulated by the central government to achieve the twin objectives. They are broad basing of sports and achieving excellence in sports at the national and international level. Further, there is an act, the Sports Broadcasting Signals, Mandatory Sharing with Prasar Bharati Act 2007. According to this, each and everything that we need to broadcast about the sports is to be shared with Prasar Bharati in advance. So let's discuss about the various contracts under the sports. They are the standard player contract, appearance contract, endorsement agreement, indemnity agreement, and agency contract. We'll be discussing these contracts in detail in the next slides. So let's first start with the standard player contract. Standard player contract is a contract which is signed between the sports clubs and the athletes, where the athletes agrees to play for the concerned sports club. These types of contracts are signed by the athlete regardless of their salary and bonuses. Moving further, what's a sportsman appearance contract? This is a kind of contract in which a sports person sign to appear in the public functions. Like we have seen that many sports person appear in various functions and different promotions. So they have got to sign this sportsman appearance contract, for which they get a certain amount of consideration. Further, the terms of such appearance and the requisite compensation rates are established in these contracts. Now, we'll discuss the endorsement contract for sportsperson. Endorsement contract specifically establishes the relationship between the athlete and the private sponsors. These contracts are enabled. These contracts basically enable the sponsors to use the name or image of an athlete in their advertisements. Further, indemnity agreement, as the name itself suggests, that these agreements are also known as insurance agreements, as many sports people are susceptible to physical injuries. This kind of contract become quite important for the athletes, sports clubs, and sport event organizers. Next is the agency contract. Agency contract is basically a contract between the agent who manages most of the professional aspects of the athlete. Basically, agent and athlete have agent and principal relationship between them. Moving further, who formulate various sports policies in India? There's only one authority that can formulate sports policy in India, and that is Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. Further, what is the Department of Youth Affairs and Sports? We'll be discussing this. Department of Youth Affairs and Sports was set up by the government for the purpose of governing and looking after the sports area of the country. They are also responsible for giving away the Arjun Award and Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna Award in the field of sports. Next, we will be talking about the doping policy and doping in sports. Doping, first we'll understand what is doping. Doping is a competitive Doping in competitive sports is referred to the usage of performance enhancer drugs, which are banned by the anti-doping laws of various authorities. In India, doping has been banned. Further, what is National Doping Agency? National Doping Agency is mandated for dope-free sports in India. The primary objectives of this agency is to implement anti-doping rules as per the World Anti-Doping Agency Code, which regulate dope control program to promote the education and research and create awareness about doping and its ill effects in the sports industry. Now, what is World Anti-Doping Agency? National was in India. A World Anti-Doping Agency regulates many such national doping agencies all across the globe. World Anti-Doping Agency is responsible for regulating the usage of performance enhancer drugs. Anti-Doping Agency has a code called the World Anti-Doping Agency Code. It is a document which lays down anti-doping rules, regulations, and policy worldwide. Now, there is a basic concept of competition law that deals with various aspects in the sports law. Now we'll be discussing it in very brief. That is, competition law that determines any contract to be void contract which adversely affects the market broadcasting rights, which issues generally come under the cap of sports law, as granting of these rights is a major problem under sports law. Now, there are further various authorities in sports law in India. They are Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports that we have discussed, National Sports Federation. There are various national sports federation for like cricket, football, volleyball, badminton, basketball, and other various sports. Sports Law and Welfare Association of India, Sports Authority of India. The team sports also have their own governing bodies like BCCI, Indian Hockey Federations, and many other federations or agencies which regulate further various sports in India. Now, who regulates individual sports in India? There are various national sports federations that regulates various sports in India. Like the individual sporting events are regulated by the respective national sporting federations. The Union Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports grants recognition to these federations for promoting and regulating the respective sports in India. Whereas, if they fail to comply with the government directives, the ministry can withdraw the recognition granted. Like it has happened before with the National Sporting Federation, that this that the license of this recognition of the Archery Association of India, which was withdrawn in 2012 for not conducting elections, as mandated by the National Sports Development Code of India 2011. It was also restored back in 2020 because they agreed to have an election fairly. Further, how do sports-related disputes get resolved in India? As of now, there is no such law that governs these disputes. They have to go through a lengthy process, as usually they can file a suit in the court or file a case in the court or file a complaint in the court. But the Court of Arbitration for Sports is a supreme international sport dispute resolution body which was set up in 1983. The Indian Court of Arbitration for Sports which was set up in 2011 for a specialized robust dispute resolution mechanism in sports and related matters. However, this was proved ineffective. In the case of Sushil Kumar versus Union of India, this very case highlighted the drawbacks in sports dispute resolution in India and need for urgent reforms in the field of sports dispute resolution. Now, recently in 2011, the Sports Arbitration Center was set up, but its usefulness is yet to be proven by the authorities. Thank you, everyone. This was a presentation from Ductus Legal. I hope you guys have gained sufficient knowledge about this presentation. Thank you and have a nice day.